Hello?
Is that you, Rick?
It's me.
Are you there, Rick?
I'm here now.
Fine.
All right, he's here now. All right, let me turn that volume up here. Okay, we're at full volume.
Thank you.
And the meeting's being recorded.
I can't remember whether Tom said he was on.
No, he didn't.
He can't?
He didn't say.
We didn't say, okay.
It's 12:06 p.m. This is Mary Jo Noble for the American Rescue Plan Committee, temporary chair of the day, and calling the meeting to order. At this point, I have 11 members accounted for. Nicole Strajahar, Nicole Ledger, apologize, Jen Datum, Martha, you don't count as a member, a voting member, but you're a member representing the Board of Selectmen.
I'm ex officio.
Right. So Martha Shoemaker, ex officio, Cheryl Poyer, Dennis Powers, Mary Seidner, Dave Roberge is here, and Ross Higgins, and myself. So
And Rick's on the phone.
and Rick Struck.
And Phil, just work
Yeah,
out.
watch him.
And Phil Bartek. Okay, so how many people is that now? 12?
And everybody.
Dave Roberge.
Just.
In attendance.
Taking
I've been here.
attendance.
She knows I've been here. I was the first
I know
one
we
here.
counted. I just need a final end. Oh, that's 1, 2.
See if I can leave my pieces parts here this week, too.
There it is.
We count
Get 11.
11, and then Rick.
You were, yeah.
I can't.
Rick, you there?
Yep, he's there.
11 members here.
I'm here.
Hey, Rick.
Hi, Rick.
Hi, Rick.
And the 10 voting members, is that correct? Okay. I'd like to begin with the approval of the minutes from May 25. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jen. Any discussion? I would like to add that a motion was made at the end of the meeting, Suzanne, to move, and myself as temporary chair for today was moved and seconded.
In August.
Any other comments? Additions? Do you guys remember who made the motion?
To what?
Appoint me as chair for Tom
I
today?
did not.
Probably he did.
Maybe Rick, I think Rick may have seconded.
Was chaotic at that moment. Okay, any other changes, additions? Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes with that change, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody?
Aye.
Thank you, Rick. Anybody opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. We've got a lot to do today, so I'm just going to go over a few things that I want to make sure we're aware of, and hopefully we'll get to everything. There's copies of the agenda on the table. There's copies of a proposed way to make motions if we get to approving our proposal. We do have a quorum, and any votes we make today, I'd like everybody to be very clear about who they are and announce themselves when they speak, and then when they vote, everybody will be voted today. Everybody, because we need everybody's vote today. So you'll either being saying, you're in favor, you oppose, or you abstain. And if we announce everybody, then everybody will hear us on the phone, and I won't have to try and remember that. Our plan is, if and when we get to approving proposals is that, particularly with the community initiatives, we are going to vote on each and every one in numerical order. Martha will review which ones people have decided they did not want to read. And if there's anybody that feels they need to step out of the room for any further discussion, we'll collect that information in the minutes. And the last thing I want to add to this beginning stuff is that I'd like to make a motion, or have someone make a motion, that we accept the review by Rick for the economic revenues.
Recovery.
Thank you. The economic recovery review summary by Rick Stout, dated 5/27, and that a copy of it be attached to these minutes and the final report to the Board of Selectmen. Thank you. You have a second?
Second.
That was
Phil?
made by Dennis and Phil. Any discussion?
He's just suggesting his summary, not the actual applications that he was reviewing.
That's correct. As Jen noted, this will be his summary report, and we'll get a copy to our clerk for that. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? It's unanimous. And as I mentioned earlier, I named the people that were here. Okay. I'd also like to have a motion from somebody at the table that the ARPA recommends that the Board of Selectmen vote on the economic recovery grant for the Old Lyme Little League separately to avoid any appearance of conflict of interest. May I have a motion?
Can you talk a little bit more about
After someone makes a motion.
Oh, okay.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Cheryl. May I have a second?
Second. David.
Second.
Thank you for that. The discussion is, if you all had a chance to read Rick's report that we just approved, in it he noted that one of the selectmen applied for one of the initiatives, or for the economic recovery for the Old Lyme Little League. And just to avoid any conflict of interest, I would recommend to the Board of Selectmen that they vote on that one separately. Because in that case, he may choose to abstain, but this way he has
To allow him that opportunity.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and this was one of the random application or initiatives that Rick reviewed that came to him from George Krivis. So it wasn't anything we picked up, random selection, and he notes that in his report. So I think we have to do something with that information. So that's my recommendation, that this committee recommend the Board of Selectmen that they pull that one out and vote on it separately.
May I ask a follow-up?
Yeah.
So is there potentially another one in that pack that Rick didn't randomly pick, in that group, I should say, where there might be?
Ross Higgins asked if there are any others that may be similar in that nature.
Yeah.
We don't know is the answer to that question. Are you aware of any other thing that Matt may have applied for? Yeah. I suspect that now that we're aware of it,
There was one application by David Griswold. I don't know if there's any relation to Tim.
that's a very good point.
Mm-hmm.
This is Rick. He's a relation. I'm comfortable that he's not within the same household or anything like that. I think there's just a familial relationship is, I think, the extent of it.
There's a lot of Griswolds.
So
Do we want to give
I
Tim
think
the
that was Jen Datum saying that there also is a relative of the first selectmen who applied. Rick has noted that he feels comfortable with that cousin relationship, basically, as opposed to the direct authorship, like the Old Lyme Little League application.
I feel like if we're going to separate one out, and we've been talking this entire time about being transparent, that we should separate that one out.
Okay, so
We didn't award that.
Economic.
No, there was, he submitted two, one economic
right,
and one
right.
community.
Right, that's correct.
right.
In both.
He was in both.
I would agree with,
Yeah.
I would agree
Okay,
with Jen.
so let's
Pull
just
it out.
take these one at a time then. So we have a motion on the floor for the Old Lyme Little League to be voted on, to be recommended. The Board of Selectmen vote on that separately. Any more discussion on that one? Okay, take a vote. All in favor of pulling it out?
Aye.
Rick?
I vote aye.
Okay, thank you. Any opposed? Any abstentions? It's unanimous. So I'll take a motion to recommend to the Board of Selectmen that they pull out of the economic recovery applications a application from David Griswold.
So moved. Jennifer.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mary. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Thank you, Rick. Any abstention? Motion's unanimous. Carries. Thank you, guys. All right. So then I think we're moving on to, per the agenda, unfinished business. The first bullet is continue the review of the approved projects in light of total available ARPA funds.
So,
And Mary, you want to start us off?
yeah, I do.
Okay.
I'm just wondering if this is the time where we're going to talk about globally looking at what we did last week. Because I did sleep on it and have some thoughts. I don't know if others do. But,
Makes sense.
okay.
I would just add, if we are going to be globally talking, that's great, but if we're talking any specific ones that people want to remove themselves, just
Right.
maybe make a
Type
note.
up. I mean, I'm going to
for the
mention a
speaker.
few specifically, but
Yeah.
okay. So, we had 37 to discuss. We went through 1 through 37. And I think the decisions we were making at the beginning of the conversation were different than the decisions we were making at the end of the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, there were, and at the end, our bottom line was 2.039. So and we have 2.162 to spend. So there's a little bit of money maybe we could put back on a few that we've trimmed.
Mm-hmm.
So that got me thinking, and I started looking at some of the areas we trimmed. Like, for example, we took $900 off the Historical Society. If we're putting money back, can't we just give them their $900? It just seemed like a small amount to cut when we're talking about some that are so large. But, at the beginning of the conversation, number one was the Audubon Society, and they requested $314,000 plus, which was our largest request of anything by far. And we wound up trimming them by 25%. And I was looking at some of the other requests that we received from town agencies. In particular, the fire department had 2 requests. Both of them we trimmed. A couple other town, the registrar, we trimmed by a couple thousand. And I'm just wondering, should we consider restoring those? I think looking at the optics of the entire package, if we're going to be giving well over $200,000 to the Audubon Society, but cutting $10,000 from the fire department so they don't have a trailer for their UTV. Does that make sense? And so those are some of the thoughts I had in my mind. I also know that at the meeting, we eliminated the crib and $55,000, which was number 34. But I really do feel like there is sentiment in this community for us to fund that. We received a letter.
We didn't eliminate the crib, did we?
Yes, we did.
It's in the budget.
Yeah, we did. We eliminated the crib, number 34, 0. And so I'm just saying that we received some passionate pleas letters at the beginning begging us, literally using the word begging. We know how the first selectman feels. He's been quoted in the newspaper, and he sent us a note. I believe the Board of Finance shares that opinion. And so I just think maybe we should put it back in. If we can afford to do it, we have the money. And I think it would speak to the community if we fully funded the fire department, fully funded the CRIP, fully funded these town requests. We're cutting affordable housing in half. We're cutting a big chunk off of Halls Road, but yet only taking 25% off the largest, it's still the largest grant we're giving is to Audubon Society. And I don't mean to pick on Audubon Society, I'm just saying we talked about them first. And that's an awful lot of money. And I think we really could restore some of these smaller ones. It would look good to the community. It would, a lot of goodwill, and we could trim a little more off Audubon to add it up.
Isn't Swanbrook in the budget?
That was
why we cut it, because it was already in the budget.
Crib, Swanbrook, the same.
Yeah.
I initially looked at Audubon as at 50%.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a good place they could earn the, they have a lot of endowments and
They have very strong fundraising capability and received a lot of federal support also in the PPP loan.
I think we should support them, and I think it's added value to the community, and I think what they're doing it will make a difference. But I think that they have the capability to but that was my position last time. That hasn't changed, but I'll go with whatever.
I think to Mary's point, looking at it globally, when we give more money to one nonprofit than we do to the WPCA or any of the ambulance or any of these other organizations, just when you look at the big picture, as many people will do when they see the list in the day, there's no background to an article in the day. It's just a list.
Right.
And the top of the list, or maybe the second on the list, is Audubon with the fire department under it. I mean, it's just, I think, to Mary's point, looking at it all globally, regardless of how much we're cutting for each one, is an important way to slice the pie as well.
I had another thought too, and that is, if this is the day we're making our final decision and kind of setting it in stone, is there any need that ARPA wants us to address that the 37 grant request did not cover? Is there any reason why we shouldn't take a small amount of money, like $100,000 or something, and just put it aside for like selectmen's discretion, or I don't know,
adult mental health?
Or adult mental health, or something that we're not sure how it's going to be that we will not, but save it. Like, why are we spend every dollar today? I don't know. I just throwing that out there.
One of the things I thought about, and I do not know, and Rick, this may go to you, is in reviewing this and looking at some of these amounts, and as you said, when we were all kinds of generous up front and got, going forward, we've heard our finance folks say, once this stuff is out there, we're going to have to either, for the community incentive ones, either monitor or get something or have some documents and have reporting done. If there was a component that would sort of help to fund that with a body or with someone to do that. Administrative, because I don't think it's going to go through
A&G.
So I didn't know if that's something the board has to consider. I don't know, Rick, if that would be
allowable
in the final rule.
Is it allowable?
Is that
well? It's certainly allowable in the. It's allowable in the final rule, but just so everyone is reminded that the standard allowance also allows the town greater flexibility with how it spends those funds. So we are further enabled, protected, permitted, whatever the right terminology would be, to allow the town to spend portions of those of the ARPC funds as it deems fit.
Looking at Mary's comments and thoughts, if going down the spreadsheet, if we did cut Audubon by 50% and fully fund the partials that we discussed last week, leaves a surplus of $78,748. So if we wanted to take that dollar value and possibly put it in, create a selectman's discretion portion, or put it more back into
Give it to social services.
Give it to social services who did not apply for anything this year.
That's correct.
It's an unmet need.
And that is a major unmet need.
Yeah.
I know social services does draw a lot from other community-based nonprofits and organizations out there. Would social services benefit from this newly found surplus if we make
Yes.
these adjustments?
Yes.
And of course, social services would put this money to best use for the members at large at the town of Lyme, serving the population that we're trying to support.
Those who are in need.
Those are in need.
I would just add, in, again, in the spirit of transparency, I don't think we should take a chunk out and call it miscellaneous, because I think that's just kind of too fuzzy. So either we decide to do what Dave just suggested, or we call it administrative fees. But I think when we make our final decision and the information goes out, we want to have as few questions as possible. And so if we make that decision, oh, that's, going to be that money to help Nicole with administrative, that's fine, or to help those, but make the decision now instead of just saying, well, we'll keep a little. I think that's a little risky.
When are we obligated to spend the money by 2026?
Correct.
Now, the committee's not going to be meeting until 2026.
No, after today, we're done.
But that doesn't mean we have to spend every penny today. But how do we?
The town is obligated. Since we took the standard allowance, the town is obligated to spend it, or they have to return it.
Yeah.
But
Spend it, not earmark it, spend it.
I think she's right in that we need to earmark that. Which file it goes into.
Yeah.
Only if for no other reason to satisfy the transparency.
Exactly.
And I know that again, social services, administrative, how that gets used. Both of them are needs that are going to need to be met long after we're disbanded. I think putting a point on that compass for the folks when they approve it might be a handy thing to do.
So
that money gets.
Looking at Martha's spreadsheet.
All right,
Looking at Martha's spreadsheet, she has 37 applications along with 4 separate and unique line items. One being consultant fees, one being expenses, one being ledge light, and one being standby. Do we agree to?
Where's standby?
I don't standby.
It was zero.
Sorry.
Zero in standby.
So I took
that was.
We removed that last week.
a placeholder.
Yeah, we can probably go away. But, and I just want to add here that you please remember that although George is probably going to come in at somewhere between 5 and 7,500 less than what we anticipated. It isn't definite yet, but he has not billed.
Well, you mentioned in the email that you sent to us that in the previous towns he worked at, not every penny of that was used. So that there's always going to be, right? I'm not an accountant, but there's always a little bit of money that doesn't come out the way you think it's going to come out.
Right.
So looking at that, do we create a line item under ledge light as something? Administrative?
Well, that would be under expense. I would just add that to the expenses.
Yeah.
Expenses would be administrative, legal, and I'm happy to do that.
Can we include that as social services also?
I would do social services as a different item.
Separate line item?
Yeah. So there's consensus at the table that we consider adding a separate line. Nicole, our finance director?
One percent to that is what we incur for legal and other things that are other places in the budget, and I have to go back in the payroll and get into detail. But my estimate is probably $10,000 that we haven't paid, that we paid that has not hit this list.
Okay.
Not talking to
And
them.
I'm thinking there's definitely going to be, for legal, I've only paid through April. We got May and June. I mean, so we might be talking, maybe 20, and that's the estimate for printing and all of that.
I think the last time I spoke to legal about anything for this was on April 26th. So if they build, that should be it.
Let's just take it then, like bottom up, if you will. I'm hearing consensus to add a line to the spreadsheet for social services.
Maybe put it right under WPCA.
So another town of Lyme.
Yeah, but okay. Yeah.
Oh, no.
You're cutting up a little bit, Rick.
If we put everything on there, then when we do the math, everything will tally up right.
Well, what are we going to do about the comment that George had that when people are faced with the affidavit they have to swear to, that some of them who have been lying withdraw the whole thing? That creates a pool of money.
Yep.
Do we know how much we're going to allow for that?
I mean, that's
Think
not
you
our
allow
problem.
anything?
That's nothing's problem.
I don't think you allow anything for it because we approved these based upon the belief that the document that they attested to was full of factual information.
Yep, so if they back out for whatever reason,
Even if
they don't want it, it's to the selectmen's
It goes back
pleasure where.
At that point, we've said, here's the pile of money, here's where we want to see it go, here's the community incentive ones we have to do some follow-up work with, and if they come in to sign for the little document for their check, and they go, can't do that, then that $5,000, $15,000, $25,000 goes back.
Any money from the ARPA funds that the town uses after we conclude our fun and games here will also have to be accounted for and recorded, for the public to see. Well, where did you go with that? One particular item we didn't fully fund it, or they didn't use it all, or they didn't come for it. That's all going to have to be available in records, and that's all going to go to the Treasury Department. So it's all going to be accounted for ultimately.
Rick?
All we can do is manage what we know today.
Right.
And I will add, we only have half the grant here as of today. Also, we're expecting the other $1 million sometime in June. So, all we can do is with what we have. And hopefully, I haven't heard of anybody not getting their full share, but the second tranches aren't out yet. So,
The new information there was, though, that I don't think George had ever said that in other towns, a lot of people backed out.
That was new.
In the last email.
And so I think we can tell the selectmen, this assumes that nobody backs out. In other towns they have.
right.
Because they were misrepresenting the need.
Right.
And that may happen here, it may not, we don't know.
Is there any value in our
I
making
think
a
we addressed
recommendation?
that by just earmarking where it goes, if not used fully, or not at all.
Plan.
I think
Just make a
the committee
recommendation.
earmarks that.
All right, Rick, can I ask a question this way? There is a wide berth for the Board of Selectmen with regard to these funds, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So the point I'm driving at is the committee has done its job.
Yeah.
The committee has made its recommendation.
Yeah.
The Board of Selectmen vote up, down on it. $50,000 worth of this money goes nowhere for some reason. He backs out. Now, I think the Board of Selectmen at that point owe the town an explanation of what they did with that money. I don't think it's.
I think the committee should say where it wants it to go. I think the committee should earmark where it wants any unused funds.
So I'm looking for a motion that any excess funds will go under line 42 right now, expenses, legal, administrative.
I think it's a separate line.
I think it's a separate line.
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
Just, let's go through them and let's see what's left.
Yes.
And then we
That's
can.
what we started.
And then we can figure.
And we can add another line, that's fair, that's fair.
Yeah.
And I do think we can put it under something that exists.
Yes.
We run out of time.
But if you're gonna, Martha, if you're gonna do a 50% on Audubon, it's 157450.
7450?
Yes.
Thank you.
How'd you get that? I got 157495.
Really?
$6.
Call the calculator.
Like two. 990
Okay, for people on the phone, we are now making some adjustments to the community initiative spreadsheet, and we are making a grant adjustment to the Audubon Society to a total of $157,495.
So,
Understood.
okay, and then scrolling down, everything, well, I mean, I don't know if we want to open a can of worms and start talking about each and every one.
No, what I
You have
was,
to make the motion for each and every.
Well, that's later. I mean, right now,
Okay.
Discuss.
but the ones that I had mentioned is number 14, 15, and 16, which are historical societies. Can we just restore them to their 9,000? I don't know if y'all agree with me on that. And then the 2 fire department proposals and restoring them
Fully?
fully to what they asked for.
let's see where that,
And in support of Mary's suggestion, I will note, if you will look at our average scores, all 3 of those items receive very high average scores.
Yeah.
God, you should.
And then,
And I didn't vote on either of them.
okay. And then if you, okay, so, and then if,
Look at the total first there.
okay,
What have you got for 17 for the ambulance?
Okay,
fully funded.
2031.
75.
Yeah, oh, here's yours. 2031.
I thought you were giving them 100,000, and then it changed after the meeting.
Right now, you're at, with those changes that Mary mentioned, you're at 2084, 367.
I'm at 2031, 148.
Okay, so, and to
I think we
continue,
should only have one
Yeah.
goalkeeper here.
Okay, go
So
for it.
check, but let's not all.
continue on what I was saying is number 33, the registrars, fully fund them, not that much money. And then, the one right below it is to fund the crib of 55,000. And then look at your total and just see.
This is Rick. I'm supportive of what Mary just said.
So am I.
Okay.
But I have a question, why do we go from nothing to giving them the whole thing?
We'll have to
Oh,
go.
I'm sorry, no, okay,
This is her suggestion.
okay.
So,
Can I also, if we use ARPA money to fund the crib, Nicole, then that 55,000 comes back to the budget, to taxpayers, for some other use. Right. Correct? What happens to that? Surplus? Yeah. Which gets used at some point.
Maybe to help Nicole administer that.
The town could also use the budget, and they could use the ARPA funds on top of it to fund this project for 110.
Why one and not the other?
The question on the floor for those on the phone is, we are restoring some items that were in the town budget and not all of them. Why?
That was the number 1 priority on the survey.
Yeah.
yes.
Supporting community.
Mary's points were very succinct, I thought. I thought Mary's points were on point.
Thanks for making that point.
Discussion, what other item did we remove because it was in the town budget? Was
We
it
removed the ATV from the police and the animal control floor.
the ATV and the animal
The
control?
ATV
But
was
the
already.
ATV was purchased.
Already
Correct, it was
purchased.
already purchased.
This year's budget.
That's
The
correct.
floor is in the budget, but,
But so is the crib.
so
For
is
this
the
year,
crib.
Phil.
But I mean, for argument's sake, if you want to put the cat floor back in,
Yeah. $4,400.
which is item number 27,
7,
just for, look, it's 4, 5, and 10.
Necessary. I'd rather look at the other things.
27?
4510,
I know.
number 27, animal control.
I'm not sure it's necessary either. The reason I mentioned the crib specifically is because of such community requests for us to do that. But I just don't want to open ourselves up to criticism, when we, why one, not the other. But now if we're at 2095, we still have like $70,000 to play with.
Well, and can I also bring up,
This is Cheryl.
PCA, that's still lower than, is it not, still lower than Audubon?
Yes, by 30,000.
Yep. 157, got 120.
I mean, I really think because of the input on that survey, we need to show, we heard people with some meaningful contribution to that project.
I concur with Cheryl on that point.
That's a dead end.
So, but I would-
Pipe on.
Wait, hang on.
Yeah.
Someone
That's
I have a
the pipe
little
to
bit of
nowhere.
different perspective as a new resident. When I'm answering that survey, it was an objective, a goal. I didn't care if it came out of the town budget or the ARPA. I mean, and I think most people probably thought, this is what I want to happen. I don't think yes, it was the context was ARPA, but I just think a little too much emphasis on that part of the survey. So, because
Well, but as a new resident, you might not be aware that the sewer issue has been around for a long time, and it's quite controversial, and
yeah, that much I picked up on pretty quickly.
I do think we need to be careful.
And that's, this is so we don't have to pay 156 twice, right?
Correct.
It's sort of a dead end pipe that covers a piece of
So
ground.
it's saving us money along.
No,
the way.
Saving us money along the way.
Absolutely.
All I'm saying, Mary, is, again, yes, we should pay for these things, but whether it's some
So if we
town
add,
budget
if we add
or...
30 grand to that,
Yeah.
to get it on par with the others, and then we still have 50 change.
Well, right now,
Well, hang on.
right now the shortfall between what we have and what's up there is $67,107.
You're upside down.
So,
No,
is the
no, we have that much-
WPCA already in
Right.
Surplus.
Yeah, so I'm saying if we put the
But
30
if we're
grand
putting
back
some
in.
into social services or administrative,
So we put, so just a suggestion, we put 30 grand to bring that up to the WPCA piece. We put 30,000, make that 156, 180.
yeah.
That leaves us 30-something
37.
thousand.
37.
We've now put that into administrative.
Well,
Except
one thing about,
we have to change the expenses legal administrative line. Because
Right.
it's only at 5.
That's
So
what I'm saying.
So we're working our way down to that.
what would you like me to put that in at? Because we already know we're at over 10 from Nicole.
Yeah.
Both suggested 20,000.
20,000, you think?
Yeah.
Today?
I put 30 in to have it.
Well, let's do that right there, and now we're at 2-1-10.
And you haven't changed WPCA yet?
No, I can do that right now.
And that's
You
not
wanna
in the
make
budget,
this-
is that correct?
You want to make this one?
they're $12 million short to build that.
My question is, are they in the
This
budget
isn't
already?
about the sewer pipes, this is about getting 156 done.
This is basically putting in a sewer pipe and capping it at each end.
And this is their community initiative
Right.
suggestion to us. And it is infrastructure, and it was the number
So
one.
we don't have to come back and do it again.
It's not in the
budget.
budget as if you.
And it is a
But how long
perfectly
is-
acceptable use of
How long
ARPA.
is that pipe gonna sit there until they connect to it?
If they
Unknown.
are not able to fill out this, whatever application, contract with the town, then that will come back to the town, that money. The assumption is, since they filled out an application, is that they're going to use this money as appropriate. They signed off on the application. We don't know what we don't know. But if they can't use it within that time, that will come back to the town to be utilized elsewhere.
So that, our number now is 2140448.
Yeah, so that leaves to surplus $22,167. 22,167.
I would leave that surplus.
For social services.
I'd say,
Let's begin with that.
I'd say you put 20,000 in social services.
Yeah.
Is that a motion, Dave?
Nicole?
Would you like it to be?
Discussion after that.
Okay, make a motion.
I would make a motion that our current surplus, draft surplus,
Be allocated.
be allocated to the value of $20,000, line item 38, new line, Town of Lyme Social Services.
Have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Bill. Further discussion? Nicole?
Kind of restrictions, right? So they can go into, I don't want to say a lump fund, but then have their own fund, which takes money out for whether it's CLP bills or people's gas cards, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or is it going to be for her to spend 20 extra, whatever,
Right.
for how many hours extra a week to help do social services? I just think something more specific.
John?
Can I just,
Yeah,
could I just
I
say
can.
that if you're going to be doing these motions, then when we get to 38, we make it a specific motion there?
Yeah.
Because all we've done right now is move the 20,000 in, but
That's true.
we'll make another motion directing it.
I tell you, I absolutely do not want that money to be paid for me as a salary. That money should be used, and I can administer it in my current job function.
So what is that fund? Do we just call it an assistance?
We call it a discretionary or an emergency. It's kind of called the emergency fuel fund, but I use it for more than fuel.
But it's, on our side, it's called social services.
Discretionary fund? Yeah.
Okay.
Continue. Yeah.
So that fund has a name in your budget?
Yes, but it's separate. It's not part of the town's budget.
But I would also
It's a
like
separate
to
bank.
see it not displace other, like, funds coming in. Like, I wouldn't, if a certain amount gets put in the town budget, there should be in addition to that certain amount,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Not
So
to
this
supplant.
fund that we're talking about is
Okay.
not in the budget whatsoever.
Oh, okay. It receives donations?
Yes.
Okay.
There are certain funds that are separate from the budget. This is one of them that the town doesn't even vote on, they're discretionary funds.
Okay.
But I'd just like to say that I authorize them, it goes through finance, and the Board of Selectmen review it. So it's
There
not
are
just me
checks and
spending money.
balances.
Yeah.
All right. So, all right.
Right.
Thank you, Mary.
Do we want to, going forward,
To vote on this,
There's a motion on the floor.
Are we, pardon me?
ready to vote?
Well, hang on, I want to see everything together.
Well, we're voting on.
No, Dave's
the
motion.
social service line item.
Oh, yes, yes.
End of, any more discussion? If not, Dave, Rick, did you have a comment?
No, just that I haven't heard a vote.
Yep, okay, I'm calling a vote. All in favor of adding 20,000 to the social services fund, respond by saying aye.
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 Any abstain?
I abstain.
Jen abstains, Nicole abstains, any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, so at this point, do we have any other, Mary, did you have a
We
comment?
still have a little surplus now of
Yep.
$2,167. So $2,167.
but let's see where that goes as we go through that. See
Well-
if things change going forward.
I don't think it's.
And we're still giving Audubon more money than WPCA, unless I'm misreading this.
We don't have to get down to zero, do we, Mary? I mean, like, the bridge needs to have a little wobble, it's gonna collapse.
7.
Bubble.
I would like us to demonstrate we're giving more money to WPCA than to Audubon, as good an organization as Audubon is. I just think,
Well,
Wording.
if we give Audubon this little WPCA this 2167, that would get them over that.
And again, you're responding to the survey results.
yes. And
What do we,
it serves more residents than does one nonprofit.
I think
Nevertheless.
that's the best rationale for everything.
yeah. All right. Let's do it.
So that would bring WPCA to 158,347.
And it's still not 100% funding, it's still not what they
5,
asked for.
Right, too bad.
4, 5, 7,
347.
3, 4, 7.
What is it?
158,347.
158.
So for those on the phone, we have brought the WPCA line item up to $158,347.
You're over by $400.
What? How are we over? I don't,
I get 2162615.
that's what our number is.
No, 215. I put it in here. Nicole brought it to me from the budget sheets.
Well, can we go up to Audubon and
It's
just
actually
drop it
214.97, but I'll throw the 2 cents in.
And Cheryl has made a suggestion that we reduce Audubon accordingly.
Again, they're a very important
Just
organization.
to get it over with.
Your credit card?
Just to get it.
Like whatever, you said, just.
Well, we're changing it right now, so we're is, right now, it's 157,495, but we're gonna take the what, the $400 we're off by? So if you take it 157,095, does that solve the problem?
What are we doing?
That's all right.
Making our
Good
adjustment.
work.
Balance in the books.
Yes, it does.
Exactly.
Okay, so that is Audubon, 157,095.
Wow. I would like to look at the other numbers just to see if we're,
And would you make WPCA?
158,
$1,000 more. Roughly.
158.
347.
Hysterical.
Commercial funders are Black Hall, number 2. Number 3, Community Foundation.
oh wait, yeah, just scroll down a little bit.
What did you say, Jen?
The other ones I highlighted that were given less than full funding. Is that what your question was, Cheryl?
Right, yeah, I just want to scroll down and see.
And while you're scrolling, I'll just note, based on our rankings of our survey, we've now, I think, done a great job of paying attention to the number 5, first 5 options on our survey: infrastructure, small business, nonprofit assistance, mental health, and government services.
Okay.
What is it, Jake?
I'm very comfortable with this.
Do we dare make a motion?
Well, we need to start the motions one at a time.
We agreed last.
Are we all comfortable with this? That
Do we have to do that? Do we have to make them one at a time?
We do, and this is why we have to do that. Because some of these have restrictions on them. You have to put that in the motion. Hence, I gave you some suggested ways to make motions. We don't have to have a lot of discussion on this. If we're going to move this along, we don't have to have a lot of discussion. I appreciate Mary bringing this up to get some of the discussion on the table now.
I also think we could have the same person make the same person second each motion.
Yeah.
To keep going.
We can be, but the ones that need a restriction on, those are the ones that will be a little bit different. And we also need to make it go slow enough that our clerk identifies exactly who's voting on what. Our names are going in the minutes.
And that we can abstain.
You will need all our names in every, yes.
Can she just do who abstains and stays, if we think that most of them are going to pass?
As long as nobody leaves this room, we can do that. But if someone leaves, then that'll mess that up. So if everyone wants to take a 5-minute break quickly before we do this, go now. Otherwise, I want all our names, because that's under FOIA. That's what they'd like to see, everybody that voted. And we're all voting today as a reminder. And if you don't have to discuss anything, if you feel your comments have been accounted for, then we need to move on this.
Question.
Cheryl.
With some of the ones who are not being funded, we have background information on why we are choosing not to fund them. Does that go in a letter to them? Do we need to acknowledge that today?
We're going to, what I have proposed is, we have not said we're not funding them. We chose not to read them. We chose not to include them in our discussions. Today will be the day we decide on the funding. So at this point, they haven't been read.
We won't even have a motion about number 5. We just go from 4 to...
We have 2 options. We can have a motion on that, and it cannot be seconded, which means it won't be forwarded for a vote. Or we can actually vote on it and vote no. So you have options as a committee. But I personally think we should vote on every single one similarly.
I agree. I don't want to leave any out. They applied, they put in the work, they did the line, and we need to vote on
I agree.
We're not going to fund them.
We got to go on the record.
The question is regarding recording for them to know in the future why they did not get funded.
We could make a brief statement about why they weren't funded.
I think
that
might be follow-up. That's why I'm not sure it's done yet.
Okay.
Probably need to help the town provide proper correspondence as a follow-up to.
Okay. That's all fair enough, Mary Jo.
Legal and whatnot too, right?
Yeah, and the other piece.
Another 20 grand.
Okay.
All right. So I think unless there's any other discussion.
Can I ask a question, Mary Jo? So Phil, Nicole, Dave and I are employees of the town. How do we, I mean, I'm going to recuse myself from my own applications.
You can abstain. You don't have to recuse.
Right, abstain.
But it's in the record.
Right, but can we vote as town employees on the other town department?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
You didn't write it.
No one can force anyone to vote.
Okay.
You're free not to vote. However, we need this committee, we need the numbers, we need everyone to, if you're not going to vote, to abstain.
Yes.
And, yes. So, in order to have a good record of all the things we've looked at, all the things we've discussed, I would advise everyone to vote.
Okay.
And if you don't feel comfortable voting yea, nay, or you may abstain.
Okay.
If somebody feels they need to personally recuse themselves and not vote, that goes into our tally of...
The abstention is in the...
Yes.
Yes.
So, is there anyone at this table who's not going to abstain at all? Okay. Okay. Anyone going to... I'm going to abstain from about 3 or 4. I'm just wondering if there's anyone who's not abstaining from any of them.
Or Audubon, I have to abstain.
I think we're going to just have to look at
I'm just trying to see who should make every single meeting to get
5.
the habit.
I don't think we can, though. Everyone's going to have to recuse from something.
10 voting members here.
Right.
I also just want to
That
make...
includes Rick. Did you get Rick?
Rick?
Yeah.
Yes, I couldn't hear what was asked of me.
We were just trying to get the total number of members and asking how many were going to abstain from something, and Mary asked if there was anyone here who was not abstaining from any of the...
Now, everybody's going to abstain
No,
from something.
I'm abstaining from several.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to take these, and, I think we'll get better as we go along.
Yeah, I agree.
Faster. I do have a tally sheet that somebody can help all of us with, and a clerk to put favor,
I'll help
opposed,
Sylvia.
abstain, any miscellaneous notes, that would be helpful.
And
Hang on, Phil, we're raising hands here.
Yes, Martha?
Could I ask for maybe a 2 to 3 minute break? Because I know Mary's got her numbers up and I know Dave's got numbers up. I would just like to do a cross-reference so that when we get to the end, even though it looks all nice and neat now, I would just like to know that we're all in agreement on the numbers before we start making those
Portion
motions.
point, yeah.
Good plan.
Can I make a general,
To go to the bathroom, and we could just, Mary and I could, or Dave, 3 of us can just sit next to each other and...
Martha?
What?
I suggest you make an additional column and call it final. As we go down, just...
She needs her numbers to match your numbers.
Yeah, I know.
I'm just going to change standby to final.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, the committee stands adjourned for 5 minutes.
All right.
Hey, wait.
You want to call
Dennis had a
Teddy?
comment.
Sorry. No, I don't think so, Dave.
the last
Thank you.
half hour,
Appreciate it.
I'm finding I'm pretty uncomfortable. Because I think we had thorough discussion on everything that led to where we came out last week. And now, to me, on a fairly arbitrary basis, we're making comments like, well, Audubon can't be more than WPCA, and I think to invent rationales at this stage and overrule hours of debate with very little consideration, I just feel uncomfortable with it because I thought we were pretty close when we finished our last meeting, and now all of a sudden, we'll throw that out, cut this, cut that. There's no integrity in what we said before, if we're going to overrule it all with a wave of the hand now. So I don't know whether anybody else shares that. If I'm the only one, maybe just ought to quit the committee and not vote at all. If others share that concern, then we ought to talk about it.
Cheryl,
I
thank
would
you.
say that my feeling was when we finished last week, we had all kind of reached the end of our meeting, and we agreed that we were going to, I don't remember if this is specifically how it was phrased, but we were going to sleep on this and see if it still made sense. I also think Mary made the point that going through 37 different proposals, we were more generous with the beginning few than we were at the end. I think our rationale changed a little bit over the course of an hour and a half. So personally, I'm comfortable with this revisit today because we were able to take the week to kind of step back and say, okay, how does this look, globally, to use Mary's phrase.
Also, I think 2 weeks ago, when we had our big meeting with the lunch and we made all our presentations, we made some decisions and we said sleep on it. And then last week we came in and we made funding decisions. And changes were made from that first week with the lunch meeting to the next week. And I think it takes time. And last week when we left, after making our decisions, we still had a big chunk of surplus that had to be addressed. So, and that's what prompted.
That's why we didn't vote last week. The committee agreed not to vote last week.
I think we're driving
specifically for this.
Yeah, right. That's why we didn't vote last week. And also over a month ago, we set up our timeline. At this meeting we'll do this, at this meeting we'll do this, and today's meeting was the meeting where we make our final decision. It's not rubber stamping what we did a week ago. It's final decisions, meaning I thought more discussion.
And there's an added component, Phil speaking. The added component is we're driving at the budget number. And in the end, I think globally, initially we had our presentation. Secondarily, we shoved things in and we had money left to spend. And in the end, if that's how we choose to spend the money, then whatever adjustments we make, although they may seem arbitrary, we're really based on previous discussion. I think all of them were based on some previous discussion, with the caveat being this is supposed to be our last meeting. We're driving at a number that works, and we're going to vote on it. So I think those changes were made that way.
I mean, we had $124,000 left over last week. What were we going to do with that if we didn't figure it out today?
Yeah.
And I feel like when we made the decision on Audubon to cut it 25% at the beginning of that process last week, we didn't realize that would put it at the most highly funded position, because we hadn't looked at the other categories yet.
We hadn't seen the other 37 categories or 38. But I also think that we had a survey. This is Bill speaking again. We had a survey to look at, and we had some other issues.
And I believe if you look at the rest of the spreadsheet, you can see all the areas that each of the categories ticks off. I think there was good reasons that Audubon was so highly rated, not only from the community. It ticks off a lot of boxes. It ticks off a great deal of boxes.
It had a beautifully written.
So the fact that we sat on it, slept on it, reviewed it, I think is to our credit. I may not personally have agreed based on our previous conversations with some of the things we did today, but I don't have any problem with moving on to a vote. Does anybody else have any other? I certainly don't want to lose any committee members.
Yeah, Dennis.
So I want Dennis to feel like he feels comfortable and will want to vote and participate, because you're important to the committee. What you pointed out is fair, and I want to make sure you feel ready to vote.
Well, it sounds like the majority feel very comfortable with what we're doing, so I'm an outlier. That's my conclusion from comments.
Well, what I'd like to add is you may be an outlier in the way what we did on this today, but you're not an outlier in our discussions over the last few weeks, because I feel that's why we took so long.
Here. I second that.
So I appreciate your comments.
Okay.
And Dennis, your comments today made us stop and think, okay, is this in fact correct or, an appropriate use of time today? So.
Can I just add, so I'm a little more agnostic than Dennis, because at first I was like, we're going over this all over again, but I now see in some ways the changes there were no wholesale changes, and they were somewhat incremental, and it still follows the philosophy of funding the items that were highly rated in the survey, and the philosophy that what's to the benefit for the community. So I'm fine with where we ended up. There could have been 75 different formulas here, right? And there's no perfect solution. There's no right or wrong. It just, I feel like we were consistent, and so that's why I'm comfortable with it.
Can I just make one other comment?
Yes.
For any member of the public listening to this meeting today, please note that we are not, once we vote, that does not mean any given application is funded. It means we are simply moving that application forward to the selectmen to decide whether or not they're funding it.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Okay, so we stand adjourned for 3 minutes.
No, Mary's going to come down. Thank you.
Here, sit here, ma'am.
709.
Huh?
As a member of the public, I agree with the idea fair. And 1,700 as somebody who put in an application. 8,000. Yep. I agree with what Mary was.
123-996-2583.
Good. Yep.
Just send a note in.
24122.
All right.
137599.
Yep.
Was Charlie sheet meant for me or for someone else to use?
I'm going to have Jen do it, but you'll get it. You'll get it. That'll,
My own as well.
that's fine. Do you want to make a copy of that? Would that be helpful?
50,000.
Yes.
12,000.
Where's that?
Maybe I'll
copy it for you.
Good.
55.
It was just a suggestion. It helps, great.
38,500.
Yep.
158.
Yep.
20,000.
Yes.
Then we have
Consultant.
318647 is that's not the public hearing. Oh, okay.
All right. Yep. 318,649.
Yes, 318649.
Good.
And then consultant, 20,000.
Yep.
And then expenses, 20,000.
Yep.
And Ledgelight, 21,622.
Yep.
For a total of 2,162,215.
Perfect. Thank you. Nice job.
Okay.
Perfect.
Getting there. Did we put the cat floor back in? Did we put the cat floor back in?
The cat floor.
We did. We put the cat floor back in. Okay.
Yeah, that was high on the survey.
Yeah, it was.
Once again, well, downhill on the
Just wish that other.
keep practicing,
Well, you know what? Brick and mortar ain't doing so well these days.
No. Yep.
That's the whole summer.
And then be the second biggest tourist attraction in Ohio. The third biggest tourist attraction is Buck Hall.
David went to get hamburger. David went to get hamburger buns on Monday night for me. He had come for dinner, and I forgot to bring them up. He went to Big Y. They didn't have any, so he went down to the little convenience stores at Hartford Ave. He said he went down on 56. He said a picnic site for the state packed to the gills.
400 cars or something like that.
A woman, this is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, a woman walking towards the beach with a 2-year-old on her hip And she's got the baby towards the traffic.
Nice.
Like, I want to pull over and say, you need to protect your child and put her up on the other hip. And then which one do you think? It's 4 o'clock. Go home and have dinner. What is wrong? Suzanne, love the necklace.
Thank you.
Could go with a million different things.
Very good.
Does that help? You think that'll help?
No.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, get the show on the road.
Because we still have to do, we still have to do the crypto reports, right? We have to accept that too.
Well, yes, well, you already did. You said 312, right? You already voted on that at the beginning. Wasn't that what you voted on?
No,
What?
Didn't you vote on Krivka?
no, we did not.
No, we didn't.
We have to do that.
What?
But it should be quick.
Are you doing, but you're not doing the individuals for that?
No, but all we voted on was taking out two.
Okay.
Yeah, we did not vote on the bottom line. Okay, let's get back going. Get this done.
Where's it going? Where's Phil?
And Ross.
Ross and Phil.
Okay.
Rick, you still there?
I'm still here.
Okay.
Yep.
Getting ready to vote. Prepare yourself, everybody.
Ross is coming.
Okay.
Calling the meeting back to order. While we're all sitting down, I will jump down on the agenda a little bit to an item that Tom had left for us called FOIA request. All I'd like to say on that is we're aware we have a FOIA request and the town has a process to manage that.
It's already been answered.
There we go. Check that off your list. Right. On our agenda, there was a bulleted item called FOIA request, and Jen has shared that's been addressed per the town process. All right, we're all back at the table. We have Cheryl Ployer, Dennis Powers, Mary Seid. We have Dave Robert, Ross Higgins, myself, Mary Jo Nozel. We have Jen Datum. We have Phil Parchek. We have Nicole Ledger, and we have ex officio Martha Shoemaker here, and we have our clerk, Susanna. And we're all ready to begin making motions and approving individual community initiative grants in numerical order. And again, please identify who you are when you make the motion. Please identify yourself when you make a second. You don't have to have a lot of conversation or discussion. And we will have a vote. Every single one of us will be voting today at the table. So we begin with number 1, Audubon Society. I need a motion for
I make a motion that we fund the Audubon Society grant application in the amount of $157,095.
Second.
That was Mary Seidner, and it was Dave Robert second. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstention?
One abstention.
Dennis.
2 abstentions.
2 abstentions. Okay, so let's just raise the ayes again, then I got lost track. We're going to make sure we get this. Cheryl.
Rick was an aye.
Cheryl, Rick, Mary, Dave, Ross, Mary Jo, Jen, and Rick. Abstentions are Nicole, Dennis, anybody else?
No, you didn't say Phil.
You didn't say Phil.
And Phil, you abstained?
No, you didn't say him in the ayes.
Oh, I thought I did.
He was hiding behind Jen.
Okay, so how many do you have for ayes?
8 and 2 abstentions.
Okay, motion passed. Number 2, Black Hall Outfitters.
I make a motion that we fund the Black Hall Outfitters application in the amount of $30,875.
Second that
I
motion.
second.
So that's Mary Seidner made the motion. It was seconded by Rick. Heard you first, Rick. Any discussion?
I have discussion.
Okay, we have a discussion by Cheryl Poyer.
I would like, because this proposal is for tourism, I would like to request that their advertising paid for by this ARPA grant include a link to the town's tourism website, exploreoldlyme.com, or mention Old Lyme, other Old Lyme attractions in some way.
Comment was that the link to their advertising
Their advertising link.
Their advertising link to the Old Lyme Town website.
No,
To the Old Lyme Tourism website.
Lyme Tourism website. Do you have that?
Explore Old Lyme.
So, shall we amend the motion then to fund the Black Hall Outfitters, fund the Black Hall Outfitters application in the amount of $30875, with the stipulation that any of the tourism marketing must include a link or reference to the Town of Old Lyme, Explore Old Lyme Economic Development Commission website.
I'll second that.
Bill, thank you.
No, she's amending her motion, so Rick has to agree to it.
Rick, can you agree to that?
I second. I agree and second.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand and leave them up for our clerk.
Aye.
We have Cheryl, we have Dennis, we have Mary, we have Dave, Ross, Mary Jo, we have Jen, we have Phil, and we have an extension by Nicole.
How does
Rick is
vote?
an aye.
Rick.
Aye.
Is that 9? You got 9? Okay.
901.
Motion passes.
I can't make this motion, the next one.
So, yes, 901, motion passes. Thank you, Jen. Next is number 3, Community Foundation. I need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we fund the Community Foundation application grant in the amount of $14,600.
I'll second that motion.
That's Jen and Phil. Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, please raise their hand. We have Cheryl, we have Dennis, we have Ross, we have Mary Jo, we have Jen, we have Phil, we have any opposition, please? No one opposed?
Rick is an aye.
Sorry, Rick. I apologize, Rick. Thank you for
That's okay.
speaking.
Rick is an aye.
Rick is an aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? We have Nicole, we have Mary Seidner, and we have Dave Roberge. So we have 3 abstentions. You have 7?
703.
703. Motion passes. Next, we have the Community Health Center, number 4.
I, Cheryl Poirier, make a motion that the Town of Old Lyme, ARPAC, recommend to the Old Lyme Board of Selectmen funding for CI's proposal for Community Health Center for $15,000.
Second.
Seconded by Jen Datum. Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. All in favor, we have Cheryl, we have Dennis, we have Mary, we have Dave, Ross, Mary Jo, Jen, Phil, and Rick. How do you vote, Rick?
Aye.
And Rick.
Aye.
And thank you, Mary. And any opposition? No one opposes. Any abstention other than Nicole? Nicole's an abstention. So that we have 901. What I get? The motion passes. We now are going on to number 5. David Griswold and Associates. May I have a motion?
I, Cheryl Poirier, make a motion that the Town of Old Lyme ARPAC recommend to the Old Lyme Board of Selectmen funding for CI Proposal 5, David Griswold and Associates in the amount of $17,000.
Oh,
No,
Zero.
declined.
Decline.
Zero.
You don't know, you just don't.
Cheryl did it right. That's the amount he's requested.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
if it's not seconded, don't vote on it.
Right. Or we can vote and you can vote your amount.
I second, I want to vote.
Okay, Cheryl has made a motion for number 5. It's been seconded by Jen Datum. Any discussion?
I didn't hear the end of the motion, sorry.
Sure, go ahead, Cheryl, try again.
For $17,000.
That was the request from the...
What's the motion? I'm sorry, because this one was
fund.
just...
Pass to
Fund it.
approve David Griswold and Associates, number 5.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And then it was seconded by Jen Datum. Any discussion?
I would point out that this applicant is receiving funding through the Economic Recovery Grant process. This one is.
Any other discussion? Okay, time to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Noted there are no ayes. How about opposition? Please raise your hand. Those in opposition...
Rick is a nay.
Is Rick, Cheryl, Dennis, Mary, Dave, Ross, Mary Jo, Jen, Rick. And Nicole, how do you? Nicole abstained.
And Phil.
And Phil is
Oh.
no as well.
Did I not say?
You said Rick twice. They look,
I'm leaving anyway.
they look
Number
alike.
5, Mary Jo.
I know I become more
I'm
invisible.
tired, clearly.
I become more invisible every day.
Oh, okay.
It's only a matter of time.
Okay, so that was, if I got 9 nays, 0 ayes, 1 abstain, measure fails. We're moving on to number 6, Fresh Air Mechanical LLC. I have a motion.
The motion that we fund the application from Fresh Air Mechanical LLC in the amount of $10,000.
Second.
That was seconded by Ross, and Mary Seidner made the motion. Any discussion?
I feel this small business owner was innovative in coming up with this proposal, but it serves a small population and would be difficult for us to monitor and audit.
Thank you, Cheryl. Any other discussion? Take time to vote. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Note that nobody has raised their hand. All in opposition to the motion, please raise your hand. In opposition is Cheryl, Dennis, Mary, Dave, Ross, Mary Jo, Jen, Phil,
Rick?
Nay.
Rick is in opposition. Any abstention? Nicole? Thank you. So we have a 9 against, 0 for, 1 abstain. The motion failed. Next we have 7, Halls Road Improvement Committee.
I'll make a motion that we fund the Halls Road Improvement Committee application in the amount of $135,000.
That's Mary Seidner.
Cheryl
Second.
Poirier will second.
Thank you, Cheryl Hirsch. Any discussion? Okay, time to vote. All in favor of funding Halls Road Improvement Committee 135, please raise your hand. We have Cheryl, we have Dennis, we have Mary, we have Dave, we have Ross and Mary Jo, we have Jen, we have Rick.
I abstain.
I'm sorry, let me correct. We have Phil, we have Rick who's abstaining. Do we have any in opposition? Any other abstentions? Nicole is abstaining. Okay. Is that 8 ayes, 0 nays, 2 abstentions. Motion carries. Next, we have number 8, Lenny Cordo Restaurant.
I, Cheryl Poirier, make a motion that the Town of Old Lyme, RPAC, recommends the Old Lyme Board of Selectmen funding for CI proposal number 8, Lenny Cordo. $1,000.
Second that.
Thank you, Phil. Any discussion?
Discussion.
Ross?
As with all of them, this one I have learned on the side about the sensitivity of it, that we're just really clear in our communication with the applicant about why the proposal wasn't funded.
Do you want to add to that?
No?
Okay. Dave?
Upon reviewing the application, while it was a very good proposal, there was no fiduciary responsibility assigned to it.
Thank you, Dave. Any other discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Note for the record, nobody's raised their hand. All in opposition, please raise your hand. In opposition, we have Dennis, Mary, we have Dave, we have Ross, we have Jen, we have Phil. Rick?
Yay.
Rick in opposition. Now for abstaining, we have Cheryl, we have Mary Jo, and we have Nicole. So we have 7 nays, we have 3 abstentions. Motion failed.
I have a question on Robert's Rules of Order. If you propose or second a motion, aren't you obligated to support it?
No, you are not.
No. You're sure?
I am positive.
Because I always believe that
I know.
that we would have to have at least 2 in favor to even have it on the docket as a motion that has been approved and seconded.
Once the discussion happens, your opinion of the...
It could change.
Yeah.
But then you can withdraw your proposal and your second, and you're not under any obligation to support your second. Okay.
I'm
That's
looking
news
to Mary
me.
Jo.
I always thought that you had to support your second.
No.
Okay.
Do not.
Okay.
It gives you the opportunity to change your
And
decision.
who else abstained on that one, Mary Jo?
We have myself, we had Nicole, and we had
Cheryl.
Sorry. Thank you for, if I didn't read that out, I apologize. Thank you.
No,
Keep me legal here. Okay, the next on the agenda is Lyme Academy of Fine Arts, number 9.
I make a motion that we fund, thank you, $25,000 as requested to the Lyme Academy of Fine Arts.
Second.
That was Dave and Mary Seidner. Any discussion? Time to vote. Those in favor of the motion, please raise their hand. Say aye.
Aye.
We have Cheryl, we have Dennis, we have Mary, we have Dave, we have Ross and Mary Jo, we have Jen, we have Phil.
Rick?
Aye.
We have Rick.
Aye.
Thank you. Any in opposition? No one in opposition. Anybody abstaining? Nicole. Nicole abstained. So it's 9 in favor, no against, and 1 abstain. Motion passes.
I will make a motion that we fund number 10, the Lyme Senior Center Chili Cook-Off Project in the amount of $6605.
That was Mary Seidner.
I'll second that.
That was Phil. Any discussion?
I believe the chili cook-off is something that typically has corporate sponsors as opposed to ARPA funding.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, time to vote for number 10, chili kickoff. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. All right, Dave? Any in abstention? Please raise your hand. We have Phil, we have Mary Jo, we have Mary Seidner. That's opposed?
No, that's wait, it's abstain.
Did I say abstain?
Yeah. Said abstain.
All right, let me start over.
Go ahead.
All right, please. Dave supported the measure. Now we're in opposed. Who opposes the measure? Please raise your hand. Okay, Rick, Cheryl, Dennis, Mary, Ross, Joe. Now, abstentions. We have Phil, we have Jen, we have Nicole. So we have 3 abstentions, 4 in opposition. Is that right?
Oh, the 7 opposed, 3 abstain?
Yeah, okay, so 0 opposed, 0, no, we had 1. Yeah, we had Dave was in support, we had 6 in opposition, we had 3 abstentions, motion failed. Thank you. Number 11, please, which is the Lyme Senior Center birthday card.
I'll make a motion that we fund the Lyme Senior Center birthday card project in the amount of $1,700.
Second.
Okay, we've got Mary and Dave seconded. Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. In favor, we have Cheryl, we have Dennis, we have Mary, Dave, Ross, Mary Jo, we have Jen, we have Phil. What about you, Rick?
Aye. Rick.
Rick? It's aye. Any opposed? No one in opposition. We have abstentions now. We have Nicole. The motion passes. Thank you. Next we have...
I make a motion that the Lyme Youth Services Bureau be funded by the ARPA committee in the amount of $114,160.
Second.
Would you say that again?
$1,014,160. Let's try that.
114,000.
No, let's try it again. $114,160.
Second by Jen.
For $114,160.
Yes.
Couldn't get it out right.
All right, discussion? Time to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
We have Cheryl, we have Dennis. Thank you. We have Dave, we have Ross, we have Mary Jo, we have Jen, we have Phil.
Rick.
I abstain.
Okay, so in opposition, anybody? Okay, abstentions, we have Rick, we have Mary, and we have Nicole. But motion passes. Thank you very much. Number 13, Old Lyme District.
I make a motion that we fund $8,000 to the Old Lyme Arts District.
That was Dave. A second, please.
I'll second.
With Rod. Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
We have Dennis, we have Dave, Ross, Mary Jo, Jen, Phil. Rick.
Rick?
Aye.
Rick. Aye.
Okay, there are 7 ayes. Any in opposition? Nobody? Any abstentions? We have Cheryl, we have Mary, we have Nicole. 703. Motion passes.
I make a motion that we fund number 14, Old Lyme Historical Society, in the amount of $9,000.
Second.
That was Mary Seidner, seconded by Dave. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
We have Cheryl, we have Dennis, Mary Seidner, we have Dave, we have Mary Jo, we have Jen, we have Phil. How about you, Rick?
Aye.
Rick? So that's 1, 2, 3, how many was that? 8. 8. Opposition, please, raise your hand. Nobody in opposition. Abstention, please. We have Ross and Nicole. 802. Motion passes. We're next, Old Lyme Fire Department, the gear.
I make a motion that we fund the proposal from the Old Lyme Fire Department for the 25 sets of firefighter protective equipment in the amount of $123,990.
Cheryl seconds. That was Mary Seidner, seconded by Cheryl. Any discussion? This was an area we didn't discuss this one today, did we? That we increased today?
We increased it today.
Do you want to just make that note? Okay. I will make that note, just for a point.
Fully funded, okay.
One we fully funded today.
Mm-hmm.
Any other discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
It is.
Aye.
Okay, so it's 9 unanimous, except, so there's 9 of us, and there's, look at opposition. Any opposition? No. And any abstention? Nicole, thank you. So it's 901. Motion passes.
Number 16, I make a motion that we fund the Old Lyme Fire Department proposal for the off-road UTV with patient transport, fully funded today in the amount of $62,583.
Cheryl, thank you, Cheryl. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Okay, so that's 9 in favor. Any in opposition? Any abstention? No. Motion passes.
Number 17, I make a motion that the Old Lyme EMS ambulance application in the amount of $275,000 be fully funded.
Second by Jen.
That was Mary and Jen. Thank you. Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Say aye.
Aye.
We have Cheryl, we have Mary, we have Dave, we have Ross, we have Mary Jo, we have Jen, we have Phil. What about you, Rick?
I abstain.
Okay. Any in opposition? Dennis in opposition. And abstention, we have Rick and we have Nicole. So measure passes.
Number 18, I make a motion that we fund the proposal from Old Lyme Office of Emergency Management in the amount of $24,122.
Second by Jen.
Mary and Jen, thank you. Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
We have Cheryl, we have Mary, we have Ross, we have Mary Jo, we have Jen, we have Phil. Rick, what do you say?
Rick is an aye.
Thank you. In opposition, please raise your hand and say nay. I got you this time. Nobody in opposition. Abstention, please raise your hand. We have Dave and Nicole. Motion passes. Thank you. How are you doing? I'm sorry? Dennis was in
On 18, Dennis?
Which one?
18.
The signs, the electronic signs.
24,122?
Yeah.
Yes, favor.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, just for that, we'll go again. Cheryl, we had Dennis, we have Mary, we have Ross, Mary Jo, Jen, Phil, Rick. Got everybody? Count for everybody? And then in opposition, we had nobody, and we had abstaining, we had Nicole and Dave.
Yep.
Okay? All right. Moving on.
19, I make a motion that we fund the Old Lyme Police Services application in the amount of $12,000.
Second.
That was Dave Roberge. Any discussion?
Upon review, we see that the ATV has already been purchased with town funds.
Yep. Any other discussion? Okay, time to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. We have Ross? Oh,
Sorry.
are you in favor of the motion? There is nobody raising their hands, please note nobody's in favor. In opposition, please raise your hand and say nay.
Nay.
Cheryl, we have
Rick is a
Dennis,
nay.
is Mary, we have Rick, we have Dave, we have Ross, we have Jen, we have Phil. Rick, you said no, correct?
You said no.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Abstention, we have Mary Jo, and we have Nicole. Motion fails.
I make a motion that we fund number 20, Old Lyme Phoebe Griffin Noyes Library in the amount of $6,350.
Second.
Mary Seidner and Dave Roberge. Any discussion? Time to vote. In favor, please raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
Rick, how say you?
Rick?
Hey.
Wow.
Superman.
Timing.
That's a high ten witness. How say you, Rick?
9 in favor. Any opposed? Any abstain? We have Nicole. Motion passes. For the record, Rick Strout has joined us in person.
I never thought he had casual clothes.
I know.
Number 21,
He looks cool.
Raz Incorporated.
I make a motion that we fund RAS Incorporated the amount of $1,150,000 of it, 100.
Yep.
1150,000.
Okay. Second?
I second Raz's Incorporated
That was
funding for $1,150,000.
Thank you, Dave Roberge. Any discussion? Time to vote.
I'm
Cheryl?
I was finding this proposal appears to help one business owner renovate, demolish and renovate his own building without a greater audience for the funding.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, I'd like to call the vote. All in favor of this, raise your hand. We're all getting a little tired here.
Yeah.
Nobody, for the record, nobody is in favor. Who is opposed? Please raise your hand. Say nay.
Nay.
Hey.
And I was going to go to the phone this time, Rick.
Rick?
9 in opposition. Any abstain? Nicole.
I make a motion to fund Shoreline Soup Kitchen and Pantry, number 22, in the amount of $10,000.
Cheryl seconds.
Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Say aye.
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 Ross, are you up or not? I can't tell. Oh, okay, you're not. Okay. We have Cheryl, we have Dennis, we have Mary, we have Dave, we have Mary Jo, we have Jen, we have Phil, we have Rick.
24.
Thank you. Any in opposition? Any abstention? We have Ross, we have Nicole. Motion passes. Thank you so much. Next we have Soundview Beach Association, number 23.
I make a motion that we fund the proposal from Soundview Beach Association in the amount of $1,375,999.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Rick. Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. We have, okay, we have the 9 of us in favor here. Any in opposition? Any abstention? We have Nicole who's abstaining. Thank you. Motion passes. Number 24, Sustainable Old Lyme.
I make a motion that we fund Sustainable Old Lyme for the amount of $12,500.
Second by Jen.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Jen. Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, please signify, raise your hand, say aye.
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 We have Dennis. We have Dave. We have Ross, Mary Jo. We have Rick. We have Jen. We have Phil. Any in opposition, please raise your hand. No, nobody in opposition. Any abstention, please. We have Cheryl. We have Mary. We have Nicole. Motion passes. Number 25.
I make a motion that we fund the Town of Old Lyme ADA Committee proposal in the amount of 9079.08.
Cheryl seconds.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Cheryl. Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, raise your hand, say aye.
Aye.
We have Cheryl. You're trying to play with me?
I'm just playing
We
with
have
her.
Cheryl. We have Dennis. We have Mary. We have Dave. We have Ross, Mary Jo, Rick. We have Phil. In opposition? Anybody? Abstention? We have Jen and we have Nicole. Motion passes.
Ed Dante's gonna love you.
I'm done.
Number 26 is Town of Old Lyme Affordable Housing Commission.
I make a motion that we fund number 26, Town of Old Lyme Affordable Housing Commission in the amount of $150,000.
I second. Jen.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Jen. Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, raise your hand. We have the 9 of us, which are Cheryl, Dennis, Mary, Dave, Ross, Mary Jo, Rick, Jen, and Phil in favor. Any in opposition? Any abstention? Okay, so it was 901, motion passes. Number 27,
I make a motion that we fund the cat floor at the animal control shelter. Meow, meow! In the amount of $4,510.
Second.
thank you, Jen. Thank you, Dave. Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand, signify by saying yes. We have Cheryl, we have Dennis, we have Mary, we have Dave, we have Ross, we have Rick, we have Jen, and we have Phil. Any in opposition? We have Mary Jo. Any abstention? We have Nicole. Motion passes. Number 28.
All right, I make a motion that we fund a document digitization project for the assessor for the Town of Old Lyme in the amount of $31,500.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Rick. Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. We have the 9 of us in favor. Any in opposition? Any abstention? Nicole. Okay, number 29. Oh, sorry, motion passes, sorry. Number 29.
I make a motion to approve $2,700 for each Town of Old Lyme economic development.
Second.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you. Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor? Raise your hand. Say aye.
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 So we have Dennis, we have Mary, we have Dave. Are you up or down?
I was up.
Oh, thank you. Russ, I'm sorry, I'm a little slow.
That's okay.
Mary Jo, we have Rick, we have Jen, and we have Phil in support. Thank you. Any opposed? No opposed. Any abstaining? Cheryl and Nicole. Measure passes. Thank you so much. Number 30, we have Town of Old Lyme Facilities, Fountain Road.
I'll make a motion that we fund project number 30, Town of Old Lyme Facilities Department Boughton Road project, the fiber optic project, in the amount of $50,000.
Do we hear a second? Thank you, Rick. Any discussion? Vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. We have Cheryl, Dennis, Mary, Dave, Ross, Mary Jo, Rick. We have Jen. In favor? In opposition, please. Anybody say nay? Nobody? Any abstaining? We have Phil and we have Nicole. Measure passes. Thank you very much. Number 31, Town of Old Lyme Facilities Filtration.
I'll make a motion that we pass application number 31, Town of Old Lyme Facilities Department Filtration Project in the amount of $12,000.
Second.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Dave. Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. We have Cheryl, Dennis, Mary, Dave, Ross, Mary Jo, Rick, Jen. In favor. Any in opposition? Please say nay. Any abstentions? We have Phil and Nicole. Measure passes. Number 30.
I'll make a motion that we fund the Town of Old Lyme Facilities Department IT upgrade project in the amount of $36,000.
Thanks, Mary. Second from somebody?
We had discussion about.
We have a second first.
Got a second?
Second first.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jen.
Yes.
Discussion, please.
Right, Rick.
Go.
We've had a lot of community concern about public meetings and the ability to participate in them remotely, and I would like a stipulation that a priority is placed on having the technology to virtual meeting capability. Thank you.
Or a Bluetooth hand for that.
Right, virtual meeting capability is prioritized over the other items in this application.
Yes.
Or recommendation.
Okay, so just so for the minute,
So amend the motion, to amend the motion to approve the Town of Old Lyme Facilities Application IT upgrade with priority given to
With the stipulation.
that the virtual meeting accessibility upgrade is prioritized over the other items in this application.
I agree to the amendment.
thank you, Mary.
I'll second that.
Jen, any further discussion? All in favor, let's vote. We have Cheryl, we have Dennis, Mary, Dave, Ross, Mary Jo, Rick, Jen. In favor? Any opposed? Please say nay. Any abstaining? We have Phil and Nicole. Measure passes with that stipulation. Number 33, Town of Old Lyme registrars.
Motion that we fund application number 33, Town of Old Lyme registrars, laptops for voting in the amount of $7,290, fully funded at this meeting.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Rick. Any discussion? I would like to add that there be a requirement that the registrars be fully trained on any new equipment that they use.
I will amend my motion that we fund the Town of Old Lyme registrar's application for laptops for voting with the stipulation that the staff using the laptop are fully trained prior to using them.
I agree.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Rick. Any other discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, raise your hand. Aye.
Aye.
So the 9 of us,
No, Mary Jo, I'm going to abstain.
oh, sorry, 8 people. I'm going to list them off for Suzanne. Again, Cheryl. Is your hand up, Dennis? Okay, Dennis, Mary. Where are you, Dave? Are you up?
Yep, I'm up.
Dave, Ross, Mary Jo, Rick, Phil are in favor. Any opposed? Any abstentions? We have Jen and
Nicole.
Jen and Nicole do abstain. The measure passes. Thank you very much. Number 34, Selectman's Office, Swan Brook.
I'd like to make a motion that the ARPC vote to approve the Selectman's Office, Swan Brook application in the amount of $55,000 with the stipulation that funding be used for that project.
Cheryl seconds that.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Cheryl. Any further discussion? I would just like to go on record that we don't have an engineering report for this project, that we have a lot of community communication that indicates this is for flooding relief. Any other discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, raise your hand. We have Cheryl, we have Dennis, we have Mary, we have Dave, we have Ross, we have Rick, we have Jen. In favor? Any in opposition? Mary Jo, anybody else? Nope. Any abstaining? We have Phil and we have Nicole. Thank you very much. Measure passes. Number 35, Town of Old Lyme Selectman's Office website.
I'll make a motion that we fund application number 35, Town of Old Lyme Selectman's Office for website upgrade in the amount of $44,444.
Was it more?
I second the
Thank you, Dave.
Aye, fours.
All right. Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. We have Cheryl, we have Dennis, we have Mary, we have Dave, we have Ross, we have Mary Jo, we have Rick, and we have Phil. Any in opposition? Please raise your hand. Say nay. Any abstaining? Please raise your hand. We have Jen and Nicole. Measure passes.
Number 36, I make a motion that we fund Town of Old Lyme Town Clerk Historic Preservation of Land Records Project in the amount of $38,500.
Thank you, Mary.
Second.
Thank you, Rick. Any discussion? Time to vote. All in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
We have
Oh, that's right.
we have 9 of us in favor here at the table. Any opposed? Any abstention? Measure passes 901. Number 37.
I make a motion that we fund the Town of Old Lyme WPCA sewer project in the amount of $158,347.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Bill. Any discussion? I'll note that we increased the funding today for this project, just for discussion. Any other discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Say aye.
Aye.
We have Cheryl, we have Dennis, Mary, Dave, Ross, Mary Jo, Rick, and Phil in favor. Any opposed? Any abstaining? We have Jen, we have Nicole. Measure passes. Thank you very much.
I, Cheryl Fourier, make a motion that the Town of Old Lyme, ARPA, recommend to the Old Lyme Board of Selectmen that we fund social services fund within the Social Service Department by $20,000, although we do not have an application for them. We believe this is an important need of the community, mental health and other needs of residents in Old Lyme.
Thank you, Cheryl. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Dave. Any discussion? I would just like to say what she said. Anybody else? Time to vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Say aye.
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 So we have Cheryl, Dennis, Mary, Dave, Mary Jo, Rick, and Phil. Any opposed? No. Any abstentions? We have Jen and Nicole. Measure passes. Congratulations, ARPA committee.
No, there's one more.
We have several others.
You have to do George. You have to do
Yeah, I'm going to move on to that, yes. Those are the end of the community initiative vote.
Woo!
Now we're going on to our subcategories, which include consultants. You don't want to do that? We've already voted on it. Okay.
Yeah, but number
Okay, okay, so all we need to do then is George Kripta's, is that
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
Need to do expenses?
So I need a motion, excuse me,
No,
We did that already.
we did that already.
we made recommendations.
Both consultant and expenses, 20 each, have already been approved.
No.
Economic recovery grants?
So now we have
That next, we're gonna do that next.
39.
Okay, so let's go down to number consultant, we already approved for 20,000. We'll move down to the next line down, which is economic recovery grants. Those have been reviewed by our consultant, George Krivda, in the amount of $318,649. I need a motion to approve.
Cheryl makes a motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Dave. Any discussion?
Should you just note that you will be providing a list for the minutes? Want to provide a list for the minutes?
Yeah, compile.
We also need in discussion,
We pulled two.
have we done a second yet?
Yes, we have Cheryl and Dave.
We're in discussion.
Yeah.
Sorry. All right, so
I'd like to suggest,
hold on a second. Martha discussed adding a list of the grants for the minutes.
Oh,
I just wondered, since you're individualizing
Yes.
the item.
Nothing else, just read them.
For
off
the record, yeah.
well, we can attach the list.
Just attach them to the record, that's all.
The list.
Yeah, the list.
Yeah.
Okay.
and as part of that list, we suggest to the Board of Selectmen they vote separately on the Little League and on David Griswold and Associates.
We already made those motions.
We did. We voted on those at the beginning of the meeting, but to
Okay.
Cheryl's bring that up again, that's correct.
And do we need to put the amounts in, because we put the amounts in for CI?
Because they're not all the
No.
same.
They're not all
What
the
do you mean?
same.
They're
Not
not,
all $10,000.
When we list
No,
out
they're not.
each one of the individual applicants,
Yeah,
what
we're
their
going to
amount-
attach,
Yeah.
but we're going to attach.
Somewhere there.
That's the record.
Yeah.
Which will show that.
Well,
It's in the document.
It's in the document.
it's in the spreadsheet, yeah.
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 maybe I'll modify my, or whoever made the motion, do you want to say up to, or as indicated in George's,
Cheryl made the motion.
do you want to mention that specifically, as indicated in George's report, or the amount of money as indicated in George's report, something like that?
As indicated in George's report.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Dave made the second.
Dave, do you want
You all right with that?
a second? there?
Looking at reviewing the list, there was some discussion earlier meetings regarding the status of High Hopes' application.
No, it's in there.
Oh, no, it's in here. Okay. Yeah, I see it.
There was only one we discussed.
It was only,
Work,
it
and
didn't make it into my spreadsheet, so I will alter
Okay.
the spreadsheet to reflect George's.
Yeah, that was just an error on the
Okay.
spreadsheet.
Yeah. Oversight.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion that's been amended on the floor to approve the economic recovery grants as detailed by George Kribra's report. And we,
Dave should,
Dave needs
has to
to
agree with
second
the
the
second.
amended.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, any further discussion? Time to vote, all in favor, raise your hand. Cheryl, Dennis, Mary, Dave, Rosemary, Joe, Rick, Jen, and Phil, and Nicole. It is unanimous! We have 10 approvals for George's recommendations, and I want to just personally thank Rick for his review on behalf of ARPA. Thank you so very
I
much.
wish he was better dressed for it.
Did we vote both the consultant at 20,000 and the expenses line item at 20,000?
So I'd like to make a motion that we suggest or recommend to the Board of Selectmen that they hold $20,000 aside for legal, administrative, and other,
Consulting fees?
no, not the
Anticipated?
anticipated expenses with running the grant.
Associated with the
Related to
American
the-
Rescue Plan Act funding.
Yep.
Do we have to amend that to say what, with an understanding that anything that's not spent, or that's just implied?
That goes for saying with all of them.
I think,
Treasury Department.
Okay.
hadn't we talked about having an additional
I
motion?
think that's a separate motion.
Yeah.
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 Okay, so right now, we're,
Second that.
thank you, Cheryl, thank you.
What was the amount of that? Cheryl?
20,000. 20,000.
No, but we think we're gonna be under the amount.
Well, then, what do we do with the
That's
difference?
separate.
That's a separate motion coming up in a minute.
Yep. Right now, we're approving $20,000. Recommendation of the ARPA committee that they withhold $20,000 for expenses, legal, administrative fees associated with the ARPA Act funding. Any further discussion? All in favor, raise your hand.
Aye.
Cheryl, Dennis, Mary, Dave, Ross, Mary, Phil, Rick, Jen, Phil. In favor? Any opposed? Any abstention? Nicole. Measure passes. Thank you. Next.
I, Cheryl, would like to make a motion that we recommend to the Board of Selectmen that any funds not used by one of the community initiative grantees or businesses, as well as underruns on expenses from the consultant or monies put aside for administrative, be put toward social services fund.
I second.
That does
Thank
not
you, Cheryl. Thank you, Rick.
Economic
Discussion?
Yeah, I think you need.
Can I say that?
No, I would.
You didn't.
Okay, I'm going to amend that to include the economic recovery grantees. So, community initiative grantees, economic recovery grantees, if the consultant does not cost the full amount we put aside, as well as underruns on expenses.
Do you have that? Do you have that? You want her to repeat it? Yeah, I think you need to try it. Let's try it one more time for the minute.
Any funds not used, as well as underruns on expenses,
Okay.
we put towards, that's all I have.
So the ARPA committee recommends to the Board of Selectmen that any additional funds,
Any funds
Any funds?
not utilized
funds not utilized
by the community initiative grantees, comma,
initiative grantees,
economic recovery grantees, comma, funds not expended, thank you, by our consultant, comma, funds not expended under our line item, be put toward the social service fund.
Line item.
Be added to the social service.
I second.
Thank you. How are we doing there, Suzanne? You okay? Okay. Any discussion? Sorry. Nicole?
So really, does this sum it up that for everything we've approved, anything in excess or unspent will be put into the social workers fund?
Yeah.
I want to include everything because if
Every,
it's only half of it, then half will go in there.
right.
Okay, right.
But that's what she said. Any of the grantees, if they don't spend all their money.
Well, we won't know that till 2026.
Anything on this.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's.
Anything and everything that's not expensed as approved.
Can I ask you a question about that? So if people have until 2026 to spend their money and they tell us December 15th, 2026, oh, I didn't spend $10,000, and that gives me 2 weeks to spend it? I mean...
No.
No, it moves to the town.
The town, first of all, the town under the standard allowance doesn't have to meet that. The town doesn't have to meet that 12/31/26. But the subrecipient, exactly, the recipients do.
Gotcha.
And then the town would be able to put that funding up to that head.
It just moves to the town's.
I see, and there's no restriction on it.
Are we going forward?
We're done. We're done when this gets presented to the
I am
board.
not going to lunch. I'm going back to my office. I have so much to do.
Right.
I won't have control, but I'll be responsible.
That's right.
Like Chinese?
Why
Like Chinese?
Food.
all that.
What do you like, rabbit food or something?
I'm a rabbit, right?
Yes.
they can't or won't or
Right.
or some other
It's all
reason.
that,
Yeah.
And if not, then we've given some other organization money that I've got to get the money back because I'm gonna have to send it back to the government or the town's gonna eat it.
right.
I think it's fair to say we can anticipate some group will not spend their money.
Right. But I think our job is to do this.
This is our fail-safe, if you will.
Right.
To direct it towards an informed area that meets the mission statement, reflects the
Survey results?
survey results in the deliberative process that we've gone through over the last 6 months.
Any other discussion?
To be fair, too, under my discretionary spending, I could do that for affordable housing, I could do that for early childhood, I could do that for mental health, it could cover a lot of categories.
It's clearly within the realm of what the ARPA Act was passed by the Congress.
Are we there?
Any other discussion?
Yes.
Let's vote. All in favor, say aye. Raise your hand. We have Cheryl, Dennis, Mary, Dave, Rosemary, Joe, Rick, Phil in favor. Any in opposition? No. Abstention? We have Jen. We have Nicole. Measure passes. Congratulations, ARPA committee. We did our job today.
So for the record, the tally of all of this and all the recommendations that were voted on equals the amount of $2.162 million, $2.162.
Oh.
Come on, Dave.
Now, who can't say that?
Yeah, 200.
Do it the way you did it.
Do it.
Okay. 2162-215.
Thank you. It's getting
Very much.
brain start on
Thank you
us.
very much. Nice work, everybody. It's going to be a busy day. You guys did a great job. Thank you very, very much for being prepared.
Thanks for leading us through it, Mary Jo.
Yeah,
Thank you.
The other issue on our agenda was language and letters from the first selectman regarding awards decisions. Do you have from us what you think you need for those then, Nicole? I think that's what he was trying. But we have enough in our restrictions for those letters. Okay, I think that's what Tom was trying to get at.
Wait, no.
No,
Next step,
Chill, Phil.
is the special selectmen's meeting on June 20th,
it's June 20th?
June 20th.
We're going to have to walk to the selectman's office after this. June 20th is the day that the town hall is closed in observance of June.
Juneteenth is June 13th. Why are we?
19th. It's June 19th.
19th.
Juneteenth is June 19th.
Really?
Yeah.
100%.
Welcome to the new world.
I just thought it was the
That's
13th.
pending.
No, it's the 19th.
Special selectman meeting is pending. Is that correct?
Yes, I will forward information, but yes.
But when that happens,
Then,
we're going to make a presentation.
yes. So I have questions on it.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask if this committee could find it within their souls and hearts to meet one more time, to review our results, to help with any letters that need to be communicated to the applicants and for the selectmen, and to help with our presentation and any miscellaneous that comes up.
Do you have a date in mind?
Right. Dave apparently does.
Channel 3 does.
Just another push.
I would be happy to start to draft the content of the PowerPoint slides. I would just like some guidance in how you would like to start, how you would like to present this, because you cannot present it in a spreadsheet up.
Why is that?
Well, you can, but it's just that it's hard to see on here.
I'll help with formatting the PowerPoint.
We can,
And is Rick presenting the PowerPoint?
yes,
Please do.
Do you have
yes.
a date on that?
No, we don't.
We just said,
That one to you hopefully by the end of the day.
So we're suggesting scheduling a planning meeting
Right.
for a selectmen's meeting whose date will be set.
To be
right?
TBD.
So
Would you like to meet this time next week for that purpose?
No, I think we need 2 weeks.
Okay?
The 15th.
In my calendar.
I'd appreciate that, because I can't be here on the 8th, but don't,
I won't be here after next week.
I can't do the 15th.
I can't either.
I need,
How about the 8th?
I am just a little concerned that since the 20th, and he brought this up by the 30th, and if he's taking it to a town meeting, he's gonna need,
Well, why don't we start with next week for those who can join us then? Same that station.
it doesn't have to be the full crowd.
Yeah.
Smaller.
And then if we need another occasion, we'll go accordingly. So let's,
The proposals for next week at 12.
the next week, yeah, proposal next week, so that's June 8th at noon.
I'll get the
Same
room
here.
booked.
Yeah, to prepare for the Board of Selectmen presentation and any other documentation that's needed for the applicants.
I will not be here.
Miscellaneous.
Thinking.
Go from
You're
there.
going somewhere fun, Mary.
Anything else that we need to discuss before we adjourn?
No discussion, just a statement.
Okay.
I also want to mention Old Saybrook reached out to us to ask for our applications to use as a model.
Yay, that's right.
Happy to see the Word version.
I'd like that in the minutes.
I gotta stand for this one.
Old Saybrook requested
Back in
copies.
October,
We're not done yet, Dave, hang on.
He's making closing remarks.
I'm making closing remarks.
She needs
Oh,
to know what was just said.
The town of Old Saybrook reached out to us to request our applications to use as a model
they
for
haven't,
their process.
they haven't started.
they haven't even
accepting
started yet.
applications yet?
Well, they've given us some money, I think, but they haven't. This
No,
process.
they're behind us, yeah.
They started off with giving money
Got
at
it.
the town level, and now they're going to the
Community.
All right, David, you're up.
All right. When this thing first crossed my emails back in October of last year, sat down with the Board of Selectmen, and we all recognized that this was going to be a monumental task. And I got to say, the way this came together and everybody in this group, with your specialty and your background and your ability to give up every Wednesday forever, I got to say thank you very much. I mean, it's...
Thank you, Dave. Thank you. So I would just like to add to that, since I was here at the start of that, it was hard to get our first selectman to get a committee together.
Yeah.
But because enough people recognize the importance of this and the necessity of it, we got this excellent committee together. I thank everybody for
Okay. So, yeah, it's monumental what we pulled off.
All right,
And
any
you gotta
other
recommend it.
closing comments? If not, motion to adjourn.
I've had a blast. Make a
I'll
motion to
second
adjourn.
that motion.
All right.
Thank you, Phil, thank you, Dave.
Third is fine.
No discussion? All in favor?
Okay.
Aye. Nicole? Thank you.
Meeting adjourned?
We are adjourned. Thank